Lear had investigated Wang Jung before, and this guy indeed did not have any background. He was just a very ordinary guy that could not be any more ordinary. He was like an ant that could be easily squashed dead. But now it was different. Not to mention the development of the company's OMG and King. He himself also had records in the army and was deeply appreciated by Meng Ao and the others. Compared to Achilles, Lear could not tolerate the rise of people like Wang Jung. He wanted to see how far could Wang Jung go. Did he really think that he was unbeatable? The opponent for the 61st battle appeared. Yet another from the acolyte level. One look at the opponent's giant axe and they knew. This guy was not subtle at all and quite straightforward. Wei Sha, Earth Meeting, another famous organization in the world of saints. Black Charcoal, you are very good. Our boss likes you. Join our Earth Meeting and we will help you settle the troubles from the Wind Group. Wei Sha did not wear a mask. Even though this was a bit of a personal attack, but he really looked like he was just released from prison. He not only had a full body of tattoos, his eyes were also very fierce. Seeing that Wang Jung did not speak, Wei Sha frowned. Black Charcoal, you better think clearly. To offend the Wind Group and the Earth Meeting at the same time is suicidal, unless you want to stay at the disciple level forever. Yet another threat. Wang Jung attacked. Rather than waste words, he would use actions to tell his opponent his answer. An advance, a kick, a loud explosion. Wei Sha stood still after he was kicked out several meters. On his face, there was a fierce angry expression. All those who came from the acolyte level always felt that they were naturally superior. Talking to you was giving you an opportunity and you actually still dared to retaliate. With a roar, Wei Sha attacked. One look and you knew that he was of the strength type. But his burst of speed was also very shocking and he instantly reached Wang Jung. His giant axe hacked downwards. Hong! The floor exploded. Wei Sha radiated with a terrifying sense of strength. His giant axe enhanced his aura. This type of heavy weapon would result in death upon a hit and injuries upon contact. Little rascal, you are quite light-footed. Today I'm going to teach you a lesson and tell you what it means to kill 10 with 1. Wei Sha shouted and a thundering sound exploded from the ground. He advanced again. His moves were very direct. He took advantage of his great explosive power to suppress his opponent, and avoided competing on being flexible with his opponents. Heavy weapons usually brought with them an aura with a certain degree of suppression. The usual level of flexibility would all be suppressed. Slash, Hong. He missed again. Wei Sha seemed to have expected this. Since he was targeted by the Wind Group, his flexibility would not be bad. His whole person started to spin like a top, bursting whirlwind. Accompanied by Wei Sha's roar, the axe hacked towards Wang Jung. It targeted specifically this type of flexible opponents. Wang Jung retreated as his opponent forced his way forward, but retreating like this was not the way to go. Hong! Wei Sha, who was rotating, suddenly leapt into the air and rushed towards Wang Jung, who was trying to pull away the distance. This move, a leap with rotational force, was not only fierce but accurate. To be able to be chosen by big organizations, this Wei Sha did have some moves. The average person would have already lost their sense of direction by spinning around a few times. At this moment, Wang Jung had retreated until there was no more places for him to retreat. The huge battle axe slashed down from midair. Hong! Unknowingly, the number of people watching had reached 10,200. At this moment, Wang Jung grabbed the battle axe with his bare hands. Wei Sha gritted his teeth. His heart felt like it was going to burst in his chest. How was this possible? He wanted to split this bastard in front of him into two. Wang Jung's eyes turned cold, and a glimmer of red flashed. A flame suddenly burst out and instantly covered the battle axe and Wei Sha. Accompanied by terrified sharp screams, the battle axe and Wei Sha both turned into broken pieces. Flame Ability X User. Here, Ability X users were not rare. Ability X with the attributes of the 5 elements was even more common. But because everyone was training in fighting styles, they all had a certain level of defense against this type of flames or burning ability X. However, Wei Sha was actually directly burned. This feeling would definitely be carved deep in his bones. Under the black steel mask, his eyes were very cold. Tentacles was stunned too. He felt that black charcoal should be of the wood attribute in the 5 elements. It looked like he was fire of the five elements. However, at the disciple level, it was very common for fighting arts to elevate the ability X, but why? Lear's eyes deepened. The power of fire. Originally, Wang Zheng had the ice attribute. How long was it since he last saw him? To Wang Zheng, this was nothing at all. These opponents were too weak. He wanted stronger ones. The world of saints in itself was nothing more than a trial for him. He wanted to become stronger, and to him there was one method that was very suitable. To be enemies with the whole world. But after waiting for a while, Wang Zheng did not meet any more opponents. His move with fatal flames just now had indeed shocked many. And his continuous victories were also frightening, 61 consecutive victories. Wang Zheng left the battlefield. The strength of the disciple level was really too weak. At most he could only vent a while. He needed a stronger place. Leaving the battlefield, the people in the Hall of Battles looked at the man walking out in a black steel mask. They all made way for him respectfully and fearfully. Tentacles very gleefully followed behind Wang Zheng. Black bro, you are too amazing. It is definitely a very sad day today for the Wind Group, haha. Tentacles proclaimed himself to be the first follower. He originally wanted to hug a calf but did not expect to accidentally hug a thigh. Although this thigh had offended quite a lot of people. Wang Zheng glanced at Tentacles. Are you sure you want to follow me? These powers may look for you. Haha, black bro, don't say that. I also have my pride. It is not so easy to deal with me. Wang Zheng opened the trading bar and threw out a dodge reflection crystal card. This was an understanding of pacing. For wind attribute people like Tentacles, this should be very helpful. Wang Zheng left the world of saints. At first he only wanted to vent a while, but these opponents were unable to make him focus on the battles. A one-sided beating from him was boring for people of his level, and the real powerful players obviously would not lower their status and participate in the battlefield. Switching off the airplane mode of Skylink, he saw the numerous messages from Yan Xiaoshu. Boss, where are you? Please do not do anything silly. Boss, if you can't let it go, remember to bring me along. Boss, you are still a virgin, right? Virgins will go to hell. How about we go and have some happy times first? Wang Zheng looked at the jumping Yan Xiaoshu and did not know whether to laugh or cry. This guy always knew how to make a point. Dialing through Yan Xiaoshu's Skylink. Tyrant, treat me to drinks. Haha, in Beijing, we can go anywhere you like, Yan Xiaoshu said. He had waited for a long time. The two big guys found an ordinary bar near the school, ordered a whole table of beers and started a brainless drinking competition. Actually, Yan Xiaoshu especially understood Wang Zheng. The two of them were really brothers in difficulty. Yi Zisu already knew, but she did not go. Even though she was worried, but she was even more clear that at this time, it would be better to let the two of them have some quiet time. Wang Zheng and Aina broke up. All along even Yi Zisu thought that she would be happy, but now she could not be happy no matter what. At a faraway Titan star. Lan Ling was indeed shocked too. She always thought that the princess of Wang Zheng's stories was from Earth, or a girl from some financial groups in the solar system or from some big families. Even in her dreams, she never thought that it would be a real princess. The first princess of the Aslan Empire. She understood all these now. No wonder he almost died. The Aslan princess, even if she was more open-minded, she also could not understand how these two parallel lines could intertwine together. Looking at Kashawan's reaction, this really was not Wang Zheng's own wishful thinking. Most likely it turned out this way because the relationship between the two of them had developed to a certain stage. Lan Ling did not know why, but she was a little happy, even though somewhat ashamed, but she felt that princesses like Aina should only be watched from afar. Watching from afar was beautiful. Once near, she was just a rose that would prick your hands. It was a pity that Kashawan did not notice Wang Zheng's potential. His influence on Tita Star was unique. If you said that, it was understandable for a giant like Rara Darai to revere him, but it was a little unbelievable that even a wise man like Mu Sen would see Wang Zheng as a leader. No doubt, this gave Wang Zheng an unimaginable dominance over Tita Star. This was something an outsider could never imagine. While it was true that the Tita Star now was still weak, but as long as they could get the balance right, and given the time to develop, the Tita Star's position in the Milky Way alliance must not be underestimated. If they knew this, perhaps the Aslan Empire would regret a little. A princess was also not that unattainable. Perhaps they really were so used to being in the high position that they were blind to this jade encased in gold. On the other hand, Lan Ling wanted to meet Princess Aina very much. As a girl, she was quite impressed with Aina. Not for her courage but for her judgment. Actually, from the moment Lin Weyan arrived at Tita Star, she should have guessed. Under the case where the situation was not optimistic, why would the second princess of Aslan come here suddenly? Most likely she came on Wang Zheng's request. To come to a disagreement on the spot, politics was politics. The key was that Aslan had deeply offended Tita citizens. Tita citizens valued friendship much more than benefits. They were not that greedy. Aslan was excluded. She had a more optimistic train of thought. She also discussed with Mu Sen that Tita Star would not be easily branded with any of the empires. This way, they would not only receive less help, but also more hostility. Especially now they were the focus of many countries. While this was a crisis, it was actually also an opportunity. It all depended on how they handled things. She thought that the mine's yearly production would definitely be fixed. On the issue of distribution, as long as a fair and equitable system was provided, they could form a supergravity energy mine association. These big countries' leaders could be the association members, and this way the disagreements would be transferred to the relations between the big countries. As for the safety of the route, whoever who dared to do anything would equate to offending everyone's interests. This idea was supported and approved by Mu. Senator Tita Star was not willing to be attached to any other country. At the moment, Arbiter, Monaluosuo, Lea Sphinx, and the Gemini Galaxy Republic etc. had all been involved. Even though some had slower reactions, but everyone had the intention of having a share upon knowledge of the mine. The most important thing was that the Atlanteans and the Mayans were also involved. This made everything possible. Of course, the demands of Atlantis and the Mayan Empire were not that high. Their main aim was research. After all, humans viewed this mine to be so important, it might very possibly bring about technological innovation, and they could not ignore this. Hence, the Tita Star was planning a high-level multinational talk. Such a meeting would help elevate Tita Star's political position and officiate Tita Star's entrance into the fast lane of development. As for Aslan, they were directly excluded. As Mu Sen said, in this world there was no such thing as anyone being indispensable. The world would still keep turning. Totally different from Wang Zheng's understanding, Lear thought that this world of saints was a very good tool. At the start, he thought that this world was some power or even some secret organization controlled by a country. But after this period of time spent investigating and understanding, especially with regards to the purpose of Saint Church, he basically could make the judgment that other than money, this virtual world did not seem to be controlled by any organization. While there were some organizations existing in the world of saints, and in some sense, were very strong, but from Lear's perspective they were all just a group of primary school children. They were still competing over the possession of fighting arts, and their final aim was to bring the fighting arts out from the virtual world. But they had overlooked the resourcefulness of the world of saints itself. There was such a large group of talents, all from various parts of the Milky Way Alliance. This was such a large amount of wealth. Hence, Lear mobilized the resources of the Kronos family to specially set up a team to investigate the backgrounds of the famous teams in the world of saints. Of course, some investigations failed, but as long as for those who could be investigated, he would think of ways to make use of them. Challenges that could be overcome with money were not challenges. On this aspect, Lear was definitely a wealthy second generation, spending as much as required, without any heartbreak. The first step was to control the Shadow Group. Before battles, they had to have intelligence first and understand clearly their future competitors and allies. There were some other groups that caught Lear's attention. Of course, when people were met with such situations, they were usually especially resistant, and the Kronos family was very skilled at solving problems like this. There were not many who had the power and background of people like Lear. The key point was that there were not many who understood fighting arts. And the average person would more or less have their weaknesses. For instance, those who had legitimate careers, those who were lascivious, those who loved money, and those with family. All these could become points of attack. One sentence, the mission of this team was to take care of the people and teams that he had taken to, of course, not from the world of saints, but from the real world. For the especially strong, he bypassed them directly. Lear could prepare quietly until he himself was strong enough. As long as he could pick a saint, he would possess the ability to do whatever he wanted in the world of saints. Cooperating together with the plans he had in the real world, the Saint Master was not too big a problem. Since the white robes of the Saint Church had personally come to Earth, it meant that he was one of the candidates. As for the entire selection process, they seemed to not interfere entirely. This was a good sign. Just like Lear's big Earthism aim, as the origin of humans, Earth was sure to rise. Earth was at the heart of the Milky Way and all it needed was to wait for an opportunity. Although the Saint Church may have been strong once, but it was no longer mainstream. If they wanted to rise again they would need a strong leader, and this leader, other than him, who could it be? Luo Fei had been living in hot water recently, because in the world of saints, people were generally unable to die. At most, they would be tortured till they went crazy, and now, Luo Fei already felt that he was going crazy. He was Lear's training partner. Every battle made Luo Fei's whole body shiver because he was always tortured till he died or else the training session would never end. Of course, the training partner was not only Luo Fei. There were a few other powerful players chosen from the acolyte level, recruited either with money or other methods. They did not compare to the others. Actually, Lear was a person with very strong leadership qualities. He had a domineering aura, and the aura of a king on earth. Of course, more importantly he had the ability. The 16-point blade technique was used by Lear to a godly stage. He alone could challenge 5 with ease. Lear had totally no interest in fighting arts with attributes. In this matter, he and Wang Zheng had the same judgment. Other than the basic blade technique, the others were unnecessary. Before he found the complete set of the Ares art, the blade technique was the only one that could help him improve steadily. You have to admit that many times, Wang Zheng could deeply aggravate Lear. Except that Lear would not admit it. More often, he would use his actions to express himself. After watching Wang Zheng's battles, Lear trained himself harshly. At the same time, he also trained Luo Fei and the others harshly. This made Luo Fei, who wanted to torture the others, very sad. After so many things, in the end he was the one being tortured. One time, Luo Fei really could not hold it in anymore and asked Lear, since he was so careful about Wang Zheng, why did he not simply get someone to assassinate him? If one try was not successful, there was the second, the 10th try. He did not believe that he could never be killed. Lear's answer was very simple. If he wanted to be a tyrant within the range of the solar system, he would have done so earlier. But no, his aim was the Milky Way alliance. Hence Wang Zheng was the best touchstone. Besides, compared to Achilles and the others, Wang Zheng's background was, on the other hand, the least threatening. Luo Fei did not agree from his heart. Actually, on this question, Lear was a little too serious because in his heart, he must have wanted to defeat Wang Zheng personally and wanted to prove to everyone that he was the strongest. But Luo Fei did not dare to say so, even though he did not say, but his gaze was a little abnormal and was harshly treated by Lear again. He was in so much pain that he did not want to live. Wang Zheng and Yan Xiaoshu drank the whole night. After they were totally wasted, when he woke up, Wang Zheng seemed to have forgotten everything and started to train seriously. He could not relax his physical body training, and similarly his training in the primordial regression technique. Wang Zheng could actually cross-reference with the blade technique. To be honest, Wang Zheng always thought that the fighting arts given to him by Bonehead and Charcoal were the strongest, but this blade technique, while only 8-point, had a comparable layout. He quite looked forward to the 64-point blade technique. He was very clear that when compared to others, you could say that Kashawin was arrogant or even conceited, but yet she had the resources and could walk the talk. Everyone had a different life. You could say that the fighting arts that he had were the root of his chance to turn the situation to his favor, and in this aspect, he dared not relax. His life was simple yet fulfilling. Perhaps this way it could also help him bury some feelings. In his bones, Wang Zheng was a person that could simplify the complicated matters. He was the opposite of Lear in this point. Lear was a person that could turn simple things into complex matters. Chen Shu and Yao Island did not know what had happened. In fact, they did not even realize that Wang Zheng was different from before. After Old Dear came once last time, he pulled everyone's relations closer. In reality, Old Dear was definitely much cuter than he was in live broadcasts. And who would have thought that the Yao Ailun who was very open in CT live broadcast would be such a homebody in reality? Recently, an explosive news happened. Chen Shu was in a relationship. The saddest was Yao Ailun. This was a world without reason. How could he still be single when the youngest of them, Chen Shu, already had a girlfriend? This was unreasonable. Chen Shu was very generous, and had no intention at all to hide this fact. He brought his girlfriend along, a freshman at the university. This was the senior that the freshman hated the most, preying on the female freshmen. Except that this senior also looked very young. The girl was relatively petite and cute, the typical schoolgirl style. That time, they had discussed in their dorm that Chen Shu, this kind of guy, should be with the domineering female type. In the end, this world was unpredictable. This is Ailun, you should know, the famous commentator of CT, the genius of the physics department, Chen Shu introduced. Yao Ailun pushed up his glasses and revealed a set of white clean teeth. He looked very much like the elite of society. Today he was stunned by this rascal Chen Shu. No wonder he seemed so sneaky recently. He still thought that it was because he was working hard. Hi Ailun. Mi Ya's voice was very sweet. She was definitely the cute type. Yao Ailun strangled Chen Shu's neck in one go. You rascal, you dared to lay your hands on such a good girl. Ahem, Ailun, pay attention to your image. Chen Shu laughed. Mi Ya, this is Xiaoshu, he's definitely a tyrant. Hi Xiaoshu, I know. The famous Little Fortune star group, Xiaoshu is also a famous man, the idol of us freshmen, Mi Ya said. Ahem, Xiaoshu may be good, but I'm enough, Chen Shu explained. TCH, look at you. You are not as generous as Mi Ya. Sister-in-law, if you have anything, just look for me directly. Yan Xiaoshu laughed. Of course, if you have any girlfriends, you can also introduce them to me. Xiaoshu, you have had too many girlfriends, my friends are all afraid. Mi Ya stuck out her tongue. What, hey, is it you rascal who is slandering me? I'm so pure. What girlfriend? All of them are merely just female friends only. Friends with benefits, right? Yao Ailun, how dare you expose me, you perverted lowly fan. Pervy tyrant. Chen Shu ignored the two of them. This is Wang Zheng, you should know him. Mi Ya's big eyes were already glittering, a legend. Wang Zheng was stunned. What, Wang Zheng, you are the legend in our hearts. You have so many secrets and it's like you can do anything. Mi Ya's eyes had already turned into stars. Ahem, Mi Ya, stay further away from Wang Zheng. Chen Shu said, he's too attractive. Shit, Chen Shu, what do you mean? Are you saying we are not as attractive? Yan Xiaoshu and Yao Ailun were quite unhappy. Basically, against you guys, I still have some confidence in beating you. Ah, you rascal, you're looking for a beating. Yan Xiaoshu and Yao Ailun held Chen Shu and beat him all over. Mi Ya could not hold back her laughter. This was a group of comedians. Wang Zheng, do you have a girlfriend? I know many pretty and cute girls, Mi Ya asked curiously. No, this guy is now single. Introduce some to him, Yan Xiaoshu answered for him. Mi Ya's eyes brightened up immediately. This is a big thing, I'll go back and report. Wang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Tyrant Su, don't stir things up. Yan Xiaoshu ignored him totally. Our boss's standards are very high. Mi Ya is the secretary of the Cuz Club, there are many beauties inside. Yao Ailun's eyes glared big and round. What situation is this? When did we have such a club in our school? How is it that I do not know? We welcome Ailun to join. You are famous, you would definitely be popular. Haha, looks like I'm still quite popular. Wang Zheng looked at the excited group and felt happy, but he could not help that his heart kept flying to a place far away. However, he very quickly joined in the fun with the others, and in the end, Tyrant Su made the decision to organize a matchmaking program. Their target was the young and beautiful female freshman. Wang Zheng did not want to go, but the others would not agree. Because Mi Ya said that only with Wang Zheng present then would there be more girls. For his brother's happiness, Wang Zheng had to contribute a little. With the official ending of the IG, the former 8 stars of the moon gradually separated, each going to different heights. Achilles was still a king who was very highly regarded on the moon. He was not covered by Lear's accomplishments. After all, when the publicity angle was different, their focus would be different and hence, their results would not be the same too. Achilles, as the highly supported idol of Moon's youths, was definitely not lacking in this aspect, especially when he did indeed appear as part of the main force. However, for a period of time after the IG, Achilles also became very low-key. Of course, it was to decrease the amount of unwanted attention and focus on his studies and training. The IG was no more than a minor test, to allow him and his competitors to know more about each other's situation. With growth, there would be changes. Friendship too, would not be stagnant. This was evident here on the 8 stars of the moon. Milo and Masashi were still maintaining a close relationship with Achilles. Dong Xiaoxia and Pai Xiaoxiu also showed a closer attitude, closely following Achilles' steps. Of course, this was also because their abilities could catch up. At the same time, they had similar interests. And the others, they gradually sought other paths because at least they could let themselves live happily. The game of rising against the world was not something everyone could handle. The economic situation of the moon was not bad, but the political situation on the other hand strangely went downhill, not only in the whole of the Milky Way alliance, within the Solar System Federation, and as Earth and Mars' voices grew louder, Moon started to be suppressed. To a large extent, it was due to geographical problems. Recalling that year when the moon took over the leadership of the Solar System Federation, the solar system was basically already a mess. To be honest, if it were not for the support provided by the moon's foundation, it was most likely that the solar system would have long lost their seat on the Milky Way alliance. When there was chaos, no one stood up. Now that the solar system was showing signs of recovery, many jumped out to pluck the peaches. Except, in politics, the merits and demerits could never be clearly defined. One would only become the king or fail to grab the crown. At this moment, only when the moon achieved certain results then could they stabilize their leadership. The solar system had to be led by the moon. This was the only way they could make a breakthrough and return to the peak that was the Great Voyage era. Achilles' situation could not be described as ambitious, but idealistic. He always thought that in the solar system, the condition of the moon and its mode of development was the best, and only Moon could catch up to the first-class procedural developments of the Milky Way alliance. Logically, the moon should lead the direction of the solar system, but it was not the case in reality. Otto's is completely useless now. The last time I saw him, his strength had not only failed to improve, but instead regressed a lot. Talking about the previous 8 stars of the moon, Milo was a little awkward. Otto's was the pain of the 8 stars. There was a saying that the separation of the 8 stars started with the betrayal of Otto's. Masashi smiled lightly but did not comment. He did not even want to mention Otto's. Otto's could not handle setbacks, and his true self was entirely revealed. Actually, if he was a little more mature, based on Achilles' generosity, there might still be a chance. While he might never be part of the core members, but his ability could still be of use. It was not impossible for him to build a career. However, he was now partying every night and mixing with all the wrong crowds. He was just wasting his life away. Lydius, who once had the slowest progress of the 8 stars, was also not excluded now. His ability X may be progressing slowly, but not everything needed a strong ability X under Achilles' promotion and planning. Lydius was currently steadily advancing in the world of politics and became the representative for the new voices of the moon's youth. Achilles' low-key exchanged for an overall improvement. Achilles smiled lightly but changed the subject. Let's not talk about these. This period of time, have you gotten used to the world of saints? Talking about the world of saints, Milo's eyes flashed. I'm getting close to getting the 16-point blade technique. But I feel that this blade technique is not very suitable for me. On the other hand, the low-level steel heart art and my ability is very well matched. Your feelings are not wrong. A low rating doesn't mean low usefulness. There's no strongest fighting style, just most suitable fighting style. Achilles nodded and agreed with Milo's choice. Masashi said jokingly, the blade technique matches with me quite well. Boss is right. The experience in the world of saints greatly benefits our ability X in real life. Boss, Why did you not bring it up earlier? Achilles smiled but explained seriously. In the world of saints, everyone could only have one invitation code. The people who entered the world of saints through the invitation code have to enter the acolyte level before they could get another invitation code. This time, the invitation code I gave to you guys was obtained through a lot of effort, also because there was an opportunity. For Dong Xiaoxia and Pai Xiaoxiu, I need to wait another week to get it. Milo and Masashi, hearts warmed. As long as it was something good, the two of them always got it first, ahead of others. Achilles laughed. Dong Xiaoxia and Pai Xiaoxiu, these two in this aspect have a certain martial arts foundation. They might get used to it faster than you guys, so you cannot relax. Boss, what level are you at inside? Achilles' eyes gleamed, saint level. In terms of ability X, he could suppress Lear by a bit. Actually it was not because his ability level was higher or stronger than Lear, but because of the experience he had accumulated from the world of saints. He had already experienced even higher level powers in the saint level, hence his heavenly king arts was that much stronger. However, when he reached a certain level, the benefits of the world of saints were not that substantial anymore. Until this time's opening, the things hiding behind the fog had appeared. Achilles actually discovered the complete version of the heavenly king arts. This was something that he did not even dream about. He himself was not that interested in the world of saints, hence he did not spend too much thought in it. Now he was starting to prepare again. In this aspect, he was indeed not as good as Lear. Lear was the type that would snatch any benefits that came by. As long as he felt that something was useful, he would grab onto it tightly. For the opportunity this time, Achilles also had a certain level of mental preparation. The sudden strengthening of fighting arts was definitely an important factor in the expansion of the world of saints. This made the effects of the world of saints even more obvious. In here, he had already taken the lead. There were many things in the saint level that could not be imagined at all by people who were still at the disciple level. To Achilles, the biggest goal he had currently was to complete his inherited set of heavenly king arts at the saints level. The heavenly king arts that he was training in was actually only half of a complete set. Now, he discovered some clues in the world of saints and the saint level might have the next half of the heavenly king arts. Of course, these were things that Milo and Masashi did not need to know. Achilles' concern was the Elite Academy X. There are many tests in the world of saints. As long as they are open, go have a try. The experience that you gain altogether will greatly boost your ability X in reality. You should advance to C rank soon and you can get the chance to participate in the test for the Elites College. As for the current situation, the Elite Academy X was in the direction of future trends. In various aspects, it was way more superior than the other talent development organizations. You could say that by not joining the Elite Academy X, you lose half the qualification to compete for the rule of the Milky Way. On ability, on starting point, you would totally lag behind. If Milo and the others could not go to Elite Academy X, the effect would be halved and this was something Achilles did not want to see. I heard that Lear and that Fatty had already headed to Roland Garros already. Lear is definitely no problem but that Fatty Luo's ability X had already reached C rank. Milo frowned. Looks like we have always underestimated our competitor's abilities. Masashi pursed his lips. He still had some ways to go before reaching C rank. But, he should be able to take some shortcuts with the experience provided by the world of saints, and rise to C rank within a short period of time. It was possible to be on time for the Elite Academy X test. Milo blinked and suddenly said, "You guys say, do you think that Wang Jung had entered the world of saints too?" Milo's sudden thought stunned everyone. With growth, resources and background which to a large extent determine an individual's development space. Just like them, the things they had were far better than the average person and together with talent and hard work, it would be too difficult for other people to want to catch up. Also, as time passed, the gap would become bigger and bigger. Recall on your primary school classmates, and look at your university classmates after a few years. You would realize that people originally from the same world were now in different worlds. Achilles was also stunned. This strange world might be big, but it was really not too easy to get in contact with it. Wang Jung. He was a good competitor. But Achilles would not increase the difficulty for himself. While he did not dislike Wang Jung, but he also did not want to fail again. The matchmaking program progressed very smoothly. Thinking back on the days when he just entered school, Wang Jung and the others had also organized such activities. It was at that time that they got to know Zhang Runan. Everyone still remembered how they avoided her. This memory brought back smiles. Their targets were freshman girls. They were very lively and cute. Yao Ailun and Yan Xiaoshu were the ones who were directing the whole matchmaking program. The two of them chatted and made the girls laugh. Wang Jung was also very happy. This was very lively. At least on the surface, he seemed to have fit in. After eating, under the strong request of Mi Ya and the group of girls, everyone decided to go for karaoke. Actually, they were quite helpless. There were 4 of them on their side, and of the 4, Chen Shu had a girlfriend. But Mi Ya brought 7 classmates. There was a ratio of 1 to 2. They could only say that the female freshmen were very enthusiastic and the male freshmen were pitiful. However, they could not blame the girls for being enthusiastic. Yan Xiaoshu and Yao Ailun were considered more famous seniors that they could see often. Even though Yan Xiaoshu's family business of producing sanitary pads did not sound too classy, but Yan Xiaoshu was a good friend and a good classmate. He was quite popular. Yao Ailun was a famous commentator, and there were quite a number of girls who liked court. Of course, they mainly liked the handsome pilots, especially in uniform. As for Wang Jung, his fame was too conceptual and not very relatable, but he was at least someone famous. He had created a series of records and the girls were very enthusiastic towards him as well. The girls basically did not hog the microphones. Yan Xiaoshu did not sing much in the past, but now he was a decent singer. In terms of singing, Ailun was comparatively less adept at it. Yan Xiaoshu's performance gained him many points in the hearts of the girls. Wang Jung was originally quite happy, but singing really was not a good choice because they were mostly love songs. Many of them were Lin Huiyan's songs. At least for this period of time, he was unable to face them calmly. Senior Xiaoshu says you sing quite well, how about one song? Mo Xiaoyu said. She was very interested in Wang Jung. This seemingly very cool senior was her target. However, he seemed to be too low-key. For such an impressive person, how could he be so cowardly? Wang Jung smiled and waved his hand. I'll pass. Don't listen to Yan Xiaoshu's boasting. Yan Xiaoshu was singing to his heart's content. 2 freshmen who were interested in him took the initiative to dance for him. You had to admit that sometimes, girls were way more courageous than boys. Wang Jung had yet to reach the point that he had to find any woman to console himself. However, looking at Yan Xiaoshu, he lamented. This guy's change was really quite big. Sometimes he was quite envious of Xiaoshu because Yan Xiaoshu's character was not particularly persistent. Most people were like this, but he was not. He had an overly strong self-restraint. Sometimes, he was just punishing himself. Mo Xiaoyu secretly observed Wang Jung. She was a little disappointed. The other girls had already stopped paying attention to Wang Jung. Actually, at the start, everyone's target was Wang Jung, but to be realistic, meeting him in real life could not compare to just hearing about him. Dreams died easily upon exposure. Wang Jung looked ordinary. The point was that in everyone's hearts, he would be domineering, but as they socialized, they realized that he was just an ordinary senior. He was not even as active as Chen Shu, not to mention Yao Ailun and Yan Xiaoshu. With just one glance, you could tell that they were elites. That meal should be quite expensive. The one paying was Yan Xiaoshu. Seeing how he paid easily showed that it was his habit to pick up the tab. But they had to admit that men who picked up the tab were handsome. Yao Ailun made the effort to try to pay, but as the leader, Wang Jung did not even show any intention. After eating, those girls who were originally interested in Wang Jung started to lose interest. Only Mo Xiaoyu was still persistent. She thought that maybe Wang Jung was just a low-key person. But at the KTV, he was just a person who silently listened to songs and drank alcohol. This was such a failure. Was it because she was not attractive enough? Mo Xiaoyu was still quite confident in her looks. She felt that she held herself well. Her family background was good too. She dressed very appropriately today, showing off her snow-white skin. And for this matchmaking program, she maintained a good condition. She never had a boyfriend, and after entering university, she was determined to find a satisfactory boyfriend. Her first relationship had to be serious and beautiful so as not to leave regrets. Xiao Yu, how about you sing one song? Xiao Yu is the number one in our freshman singing competition. Ya pulled Mo Xiao Yu up. Mo Xiao Yu stood up confidently. Ya, you shouldn't have said that. You should first say that I sing terribly, then when I sing well, there will be more applause. Xiao Yu, you are so confident. There's no need for that. If you are really as good as Ya says, I will personally support you to do a campus concert, Yan Xiaoshu said. Instantly everyone started to cheer. Mo Xiaoyu smiled, and took one glance at Wang Zheng. Any normal man would have some reaction at this moment, no matter what. This Yan Xiaoshu was also overdoing it. He knew that she was interested in Wang Zheng yet made such obvious advances towards her. But there were no reaction at all from Yao Ailun and Chen Shu. Was their relationship so good, or at the start, Wang Zheng was simply a coward? Mo Xiaoyu was really disappointed, but her singing did not disappoint anyone. She was pretty, her voice was even better, it added a lot of points for her. This, Escape, by Lin Weiyan was sung with at least an 80% similarity to the original. After singing, Yan Xiaoshu took the initiative to gift flowers to her. Everyone else started cheering and clapping. Closely followed was another love song by Yan Xiaoshu. A signal appeared on Wang Zheng's skylink. He was stunned for a moment, then he stood up and walked out of the room. Mo Xiaoyu thought briefly and followed him. She heard that he had no girlfriend. His few good friends were all here. Other than his girlfriend, which other person would be looking for him at this moment? He walked so far, he was really afraid of someone else seeing. Mo Xiaoyu also did not know why she had followed him. When they have not met, Mo Xiaoyu gave Wang Zheng 90 points. Based on a girl's intuition, she thought that he would be an extremely good catch. But until now, Wang Zheng had dropped from 80 to 70 points. If not for his accomplishments, he would be near to failing. Wang Zheng opened his skylink and Lin Weiyan's image appeared. Brother Zheng, I want to open a concert at the solar system next month, can I look for you then? Lin Weiyan said cautiously, her small hands twisted together. Wang Zheng looked at Lin Weiyan and sighed lightly, is she all right? Sister, she looks okay from the surface, but I know she's devastated. Wang Zheng struggled for a while in his heart. He knew that at this point he had to be decisive, he had to be ruthless. Your Highness, not meeting is better than seeing each other. The solar system does not suit you. Wang Zheng really felt that he was really quite ruthless sometimes. At least under Bonehead's training, his acting skills were good. The moment he turned off the skylink, Wang Zheng had already seen Weiyan's big eyes filling up with tears. A short pain was better than long torment. Turning back, he realized that not far away, Mo Xiaoyu was staring at him with her jaws dropped. Wang Zheng actually was careless, based on his vigilance. Wang Zheng smiled slightly, and walked over. He patted Mo Xiaoyu on her shoulder. My cousin is a crazy Weiyan fan. Her cosplay is not bad, right? Mo Xiaoyu did not know how she walked back. Suddenly she understood. This was not 70 points. This was 120, more than full marks. In life, he tried to let himself relax and stay calm. Wang Zheng also wanted his heart to remain calm. Wang Zheng gave that invitation card from Tentacles to Zhang Shan. Wang Zheng, when did you start liking such stuff, is it porn? In Skylink, Zhang Shan seemed to be doing great. It looked like he had a very comfortable time recently. Zhang Shan was the type who paid attention to details yet had a big picture of things. He would not fixate. Just like how he gave up so many years of physics, giving up his studies to enroll in military school, he was quite decisive. Go away, can you have a cleaner mind? Once you enter you will know. Of course, please keep it a secret, this is after all prohibited goods. Oh, such a good thing, then I'll have to try. I heard that you guys are going to the Elite Academy X. I'll go there too. Even if not this year, next year I'll definitely be there. Zhang Shan said. He was like a cockroach. Any blow would just motivate him. How could the Elite Academy X miss such a great figure like him, Zhang Shan? He wanted to carve his name on the Elite Academy X. Perhaps you can come this year, Wang Zheng said. Wang Zheng felt a little relieved seeing Zhang Shan, who had always been trying his best. Zhang Shan's ability type was quite a high level. Most ability X triggered the minor 5 elements of the human body: metal, wood, water, fire and earth. The power of the greater five elements like space was actually of a relatively high level and it represented his quality. However, this type of ability was relatively difficult to upgrade and might in the end lose out to those with ordinary abilities. But once he could master an appropriate fighting art, all these would be different. Once a high-quality ability user advanced, that was the real scariest thing. Based on Zhang Shan's instantaneous movement ability, if it could be upgraded, increasing the distance and number of times it could be used, that was the real terror. After switching off the Skylink, Wang Zheng started his daily training. He wanted to be a little more systematic. Thinking about it, actually his ultimate moves were lesser than imagined. His basic attack was actually only the leaning landslide and Bonehead did not teach him any other things. He needed to depend on his own understanding. This was too difficult. Disregarding the outside world was entirely futile. It was either he needed more challenges, but, at the Ares College, who could he challenge? Wang Zheng smacked his head, wasn't what he was looking for just by his side. Entering the world of saints, Wang Zheng opened his mission panel. He had already completed the missions to level up from the disciple level. Now all he needed was to train his blade technique to the highest level and he could teleport straight into the acolyte level from the sanctuary. Meng Tian's blade technique had already reached the middle level. It seemed like people who had ability X as a foundation and a strong body in good condition could see the results of their training faster and more obviously. He could see that Meng Tian was also very serious. Seeing Wang Zheng online, Tentacles immediately came over. "Why are you smiling so deviously? Did something good happen?" Wang Zheng said. Tentacles was stunned, then he shook his head. "I'm like this, but Black Bro, you are considered famous already." "Oh." Wang Zheng neither agreed nor disagreed with his words. "Your information cards can sell for 20,000. There are big organizations collecting it. Also the Earth Meeting and the Wind Group have already ordered an annihilation order on you. 50,000 for one kill." Tentacles said. Wang Zheng refused these two big organizations. Looks like his refusal displeased them. But the abilities of disciples from these organizations were not very strong, and they could not keep sending someone from the top levels down. Hence they used the annihilation order. Just because of this? They are too petty. Ahem, actually the annihilation orders are just a signal. The five saints actually have rules. These organizations cannot interfere too much in the development of disciples. They are just showing their stance. Once you enter the acolyte level, these two big organizations are sure to hunt you. At the same time, they are warning others not to go near you. Tentacles waved his hands helplessly. Then you have to consider it. Black Bro, that's so sad to hear you saying that. Tentacles flicked his hair. This world is not everything. At the most I'll stop playing. The most important thing is happiness. And I think it is not easy for them to get rid of you. Tentacles' eyes sparkled. He felt that this would be very, very interesting. Tentacles' ability X was not only wind. To be more specific, the wind attribute was discovered when he entered the world of saints. He himself was not the battle type but of the predictive type. He used his own ability to see Wang Zheng's fortune and it actually was the godless card. Among his prediction cards, the highest level was God. There were killer gods, death gods, battle gods, mischief gods, but this was the first time the godless card was actually drawn out. This meant two things. Black Charcoal's power was beyond his prediction, and the other was that he could control fate. This was the most shocking moment for Tentacles, who had always been self-centered, hence he decided to follow Black Charcoal in his path. He wanted to see what this person actually wanted to do, and what he could do. At the same time, this was also training for his ability X. To set obstacles and then to overcome them. This was also the method used to raise the levels of spiritual type ability X. They had to set challenges continuously and then overcome them. Every time they overcame successfully, their self-judgment would increase and their predictions would become more accurate. As for the achievements of this world itself, it was really not very important to Tentacles. Everyone had their own goals to pursue here, except, it was a pity that Loli was gone. That exceptional golden Loli actually never appeared again. He predicted parallel lines between him and the Loli, meaning that they could not cross paths again. This was a sad story. News spread quickly. Even Meng Tian knew about Wang Zheng's things. Meng Tian of course would not say anything. To be honest, She thought that Aina and Wang Jung were still very compatible. But from the start, she did not see a good ending for this relationship because she was born in such a household and knew too well the restraints, not to mention the monarchy which ruled Aslan Empire. The royal family had to consider the stability of their rule, and this was something an earthling could never bring for them. At the moment, those empires in the Milky Way alliance were basically the same. At the same time, the royalty enjoyed great privileges but also had to bear more obligations. After all, these were empires of the stellar Great Voyage era. They were less fortunate than that of the ancient empires. Since he had decided to go to the acolyte level, he needed to complete his preparations. Tentacles had already prepared earlier and obviously, it was no longer his goal to stay at the disciple level. Wang Jung finished his training. Pushing his blade technique to the highest level was nothing for him. He was mostly focusing on understanding the process to leveling. Having undergone the processes of primordial regression technique blindly, it would be stupid of him if he still did not analyze the process of learning the blade technique. There were many trials for disciples. He had obtained a more comprehensive trial information card from Tentacles. This was the characteristic of the world of saints. Everything was quite orderly. The basic trial at the disciple level was the most diverse. He heard that the trial style would be different at the believer's level. This type of training style would reduce and there would be more battle-style trial. Also, the fees were slightly different. He felt that the disciple level was mainly used to earn money. You could raise yourself to the acolyte level just by investing more money. For example, Lin Weiyan did just that. However, if they wanted to enter the saint level, that was not possible. Most of the people on the acolyte level were already of better quality. Once you were exceptional, you actually would have lesser opportunities to spend, but rather you could even earn quite a bit. For instance, Tentacles. This guy not only earned quite a bit, he still possessed huge amounts of information and intelligence. Except that it was curious why such an adaptable person would not be willing to join other organizations and instead seemed to like to collect and understand this world, or maybe, he had other purposes. But these had nothing to do with Wang Jung. At least at the moment he was friendly with Tentacles. This person provided quite a lot of help to him. Not only that, both Meng Tian and Zhang Shan's situation required his help. He had to gain more invitation cards in the future. You have to admit that over 100 trial types were a little exaggerated and some were repeated. Based on Wang Jung's current situation, he did not need these. He felt that all variations came from the same base and he was going to the acolyte level soon. He wanted to try all of them first and see if there were any trials that was suitable for him. The information on the intelligence card was comprehensive. It not only contained the characteristics of various trials, the introduction, but also included the experience of clearing these trials. Of course, the level of these experiences depended on who went through the trials. Hence some high-level experience cards, especially those saint-level experience cards, had a shocking value. A trial called Atomic Burst caught Wang Jung's attention. The world of saints was more connected to ancient martial arts. This name, Atomic Burst, was a little different. From the ranking aspect, this trial was a super unpopular training. It seemed like not many had noticed it. Even in the world of saints' own ranking, this trial did not seem to be highly valued. Wang Jung took a look at the training introduction and instantly his eyes sparkled radiantly. The so-called atomic burst was actually a type of fingering. The concept of this fingering was that the power at a point was the greatest. A point could break a whole surface. When all power were contained in that one point and blasted out, it could destroy everything. This was the atomic burst. This atomic referred to here was not the atom in science, but the genes of all living things. This greatly aroused Wang Jung's interest. He wanted to see if this atomic burst was worthy of its name. This type of non-mainstream training could be obtained by just paying. Wang Jung was on the saint trial and could save money in this aspect. This made things convenient for Wang Jung. After entering, Wang Jung understood why no one chose this training. In the training room was a huge 3 meters square boulder. The so-called atomic burst training was to let people poke this stone into pieces in one poke. Although people who came here all thought that they were talented and have great strength, they all could destroy this boulder with a punch, but using their finger to destroy it, unless they were crazy, who would come here? Well, you don't say. Those things that normal people would not do did not mean that Wang Jung would not do it either. Wang Jung read the trial introduction and evaluation. Actually, this was relying on a concept similar to his leaning landslide, except that this seemed to be more difficult than leaning landslide. Leaning landslide talked about being familiar with its technique, to use strength and momentum together, and at the same time learn how to condense aura. This was the trigger for this fighting technique. Actually, it was a method that complemented each other. However, the difficulty of this atomic burst was obviously much higher. This was not only derived from his own body, but also from his understanding of his surroundings. This fighting style could not be done without reaching a certain level first. Looking at the huge boulder, Wang Jung threw out a punch. Pung! The huge boulder exploded. Based on his full strength blow, even if he used the blade technique at 80% power, to smash this huge boulder with one punch was nothing. And this stone did not seem to be specially made, but this was definitely not the problem. The huge boulder quickly returned to its original state after exploding. The system did not give any hints as well. Wang Jung thought about it for a while and initiated the blade technique, focusing it on his fingertip. Leaning landslide was actually helpful for this training. Wang Jung could focus his power on one spot, and his persistence in doing push-ups helped to train his fingers' strength and agility. He did not miss one training session at all, except that he started this training to increase his control of mecha. Without such strength, he could never use a move such as the rotating shovel. But this had now become the basis for atomic burst training. Zung! His finger instantly penetrated the huge boulder. Wang Jung was stunned. This was not what he expected. The so-called atomic burst was to destroy things by concentrating power into one point. The crucial aspect was to destroy an object by targeting its core with a singular strike. When that happened, the object would simply disintegrate. In other words, no matter the size or shape, everything had a core, but this core could only be destroyed by another object's core. This trial existed to teach one to condense the energy of one's core to be used to attack another's core. Once one reached this level, no matter what, all defenses were useless and could be destroyed with a single strike. Based on the structure of the human body, only the power condensed onto a finger could achieve this. With such an introduction, people who were a little more normal would think that this was a dream. However, Wang Jung's education from young was a little different. In the past, when his dad was there, he would usually dupe him on everything. And within, there were many myths of ancient martial arts, talking about things like the one finger breaking the heavens. Hence, while Wang Jung recognized that it was a myth, he could still accept it, and he could understand it for himself now, except that he could not really figure out how to do it. The huge boulder returned to its original state again. Wang Jung tried repeatedly. From various aspects, saint trials were actually not unrealistic, and Wang Jung also felt that there was a certain possibility. If he could achieve the results, it would be a great improvement for him. Just like this, Wang Jung practiced the blade technique and excitedly did the atomic burst training at the same time. During training, Wang Jung could totally throw away his troubles and immerse himself within the training. Actually, this was also a good way to distract himself. At least under these circumstances, Wang Jung could be much focused and at the same time find peace in his heart again. After experiencing relationship setbacks, especially on his first love, a man's state of mind would be in a very intriguing state. And Wang Jung at the moment was in a highly focused state. The Elite Academy X selection was still very far away. The other things did not require his attention too. Instead, he could calm down and check on his own training. Wang Jung also forgot about time. By the time he left training, he realized that his Skylink was on the verge of explosion again. It was Zhang Shan, this rascal. Once he opened his Skylink, Zhang Shan jumped into his face, excitedly. Wang Jung, what kind of place is this? So awesome. How is it? Any reaction? What reaction? I'm like reborn. This is too amazing, Zhang Shan said excitedly. Wang Jung knew, the better the potential, the more obvious the reaction to fighting arts. A person like Zhang Shan was definitely a good seedling. Then grab hold of this opportunity. If your ability X could raise to C rank, you can apply for the Elite Academy X test. Haha, I knew that leader is the most reliable. You won't leave me behind, Zhang Shan laughed. Looks like even the Lai family's Lai Flame technique is inside too. With fighting arts, the advantage of the Lai family no longer exists. Wang Zheng laughed and shook his head. That is two entirely different things. The strength of the Lai family comes from their roots in Mars. This is something others can never compare to. As for whether the two Lai flame techniques are the same, only they would know. The main point is to find the one suitable for yourself. Haha, I know. Zhang Shan was very excited. It was easy to reach a bottleneck when training one's ability X, yet there was no way round it. At the army, there was electric shock stimulation, or even the usage of various drugs to stimulate a breakthrough, but all these came with side effects. Ability X was a type of spiritual reaction. It mostly reacted to spiritual influences. Perhaps one could stimulate it with one's fleshly body. However, it was definitely not possible to stimulate a breakthrough using purely external methods. Fighting arts on the other hand stimulated strength from within. Even if the fighting art could not be brought out, it was also very good to raise one's proficiency with their ability X. Other than Zhang Shan's excited screams, the Skylink also showed information from Tita Star. It was from Mu Sen and Lan Ling. They were all about some major movements in Tita Star. Some were reports to Wang Zheng, some asked for Wang Zheng's opinion. Actually Wang Zheng did not understand. What was this old man Mu Sen planning? He was just a small soldier. Actually Mu Sen did not have to do this. Although there was the consideration of a friendly relationship between them, did he need to take things to this extent? The old man could use Skylink quite well. Mu Sen was definitely not a narrow-minded old man. He was the wise sage of Tita Star. Especially for Mu Sen who had early contact with humans, his thinking was definitely more open. To him, the most important things were the survival and interests of Tita citizens. Even if he helped the Tita citizens to do something, the Tita Star now had already joined the Milky Way Alliance. They still had a super gravitational energy mine in their hands and many people wanted to be their ally, but he kept hanging on to Wang Zheng. Perhaps he was confident in him? Wang Zheng suddenly laughed. Actually, he was confident in himself too, but how did Mu Sen know? Once he thought of that old man's trickster-like eyes, he himself was a little weirded out. No matter what, the citizens of Tita Star were indeed sincere. Wang Zheng answered some of Mu Sen's questions. He actually was quite grateful that Mu Sen did not burn the bridges. When people were alive, they needed their dignity, but this world's dignity was all along built on the basis of strength. The reason he could be forceful in front of Kashawin was also because he relied on the strength of Tita Star and the support of Tita citizens. If not, the Prime Minister of Aslan would really step on him like dog shit. Wang Zheng's aim, however, was not stupid. If the Rubik's Cube was the only support that Wang Zheng had to rely on, now he finally had another card in his hands. He had the ability to retaliate now. It was just that what Tita Star needed now was to develop and grow stronger, not to go around minding other businesses. In the videos Mu Sen sent, also included one showing Rara Darai's training of troops. The Tita army was built naturally. In Tita Star, the Tita citizens owned the control rights to their own planet. Lan Ling was also preparing for a human mecha unit. Of course, this army would not be controlled by Lan Ling, but controlled by the governor. Private forces were no longer allowed. From this aspect, you could see that Mu Sen was very organized. 8 and Kong Zhang were all put into important positions. Kong Zhang would not stay forever, but he was very willing to do these things. Both of them were elites from IG. To be honest, they were much stronger than many of the high-ranking officials in the military, especially Kong Zhang, who was even a group leader. He had his own way in designing trainings. There was an ancient saying that it was easy getting a 1,000-people army but difficult getting a good general. It was definitely true. Warriors from IG would all become talents as they matured. They would be sent to different factions. Of course, those who qualified for the Elite Academy X would certainly have higher aspiration. Once he knew that old Mu and the others were all working there, Wang Zheng knew that this academy was not the average one. It was not to create killers, but it was moving in the direction of developing elite leaders. Lan Ling made Wang Zheng a little awkward in her Skylink. She always dressed very seductively. He was helpless. Miss Lan Ling was his savior. Wang Zheng had to accept it. They all said that a small favor has to be repaid doubly. This favor of saving his life, even if he gave himself to her, it was reasonable. As for the super gravitational energy mine, The establishment of the Milky Way Association helped Theta Star solve this difficult problem. They pushed the right of distribution to the surface and decided based on votes. This not only maximizes benefits but also prevented Theta Star from being stabbed in the back. The most unlucky was Aslan. They originally already got a certain share, but now, their chicken flew away and eggs cracked. The only one outside of the rules was OMG. Of course, the association did not exclude Aslan. After all, they were a strong country of the Milky Way Alliance. But what you wanted to get, you would have to compete fairly with other countries. And Aslan's fallout with Theta Star made other countries very happy. The other countries did not care what companies like OMG, who represented the solar system, would get, because they had confidence in their own strength. But it would be an entirely different concept if the same thing landed in Aslan's hands. Putting it on the surface not only raised Theta Star's position, more importantly, it could at any time kill two birds with one stone. Mu Sen was definitely a sly person. And yet it was such a person who was talking about emotions with Wang Zheng. He kept mentioning without reason how Rara Darai and the others all missed Ada, when Ada had the time he should visit Theta Star, and even said that there were many beauties among Theta citizens, and sent him some pictures of young girls. Was this old man trying to seduce him? He could not understand why this old man was so confident in him, but this was after all a good thing. Wang Zheng also designed some training methods based on the Theta citizens' situation and handed them to Mu Senator. They were very suitable for giants. It was a pity Rara Darai did not know how to use Skylink. The key point was his size. Even if he wanted to use one, they would have to have a custom-made Skylink. But Wang Zheng still asked Mu Sen to pass the message to Rara Darai. As the Titan, he needed to be more proactive in learning the technology of humans. At least, he could communicate with him. Wang Zheng actually just commented casually, but this brought about a revolutionary change in Theta Star. A single spark could start a fire burning through the fields. Mars Sage Sect, deep behind the mountains. Here, it was far away from the Saint Mountain of the Sage Sect, yet it was the more mysterious Sage Saint Land. Hong Long Long. Two streaks of fiery light flashed past midair, fighting against each other. Within the fiery lights, one male and one female, two silhouettes burst with strong battle aura, competing to get the first chance. These two persons were Lai Xin and Lai Guang. Stop. The sage stood aside and ordered. The two streaks of fiery lights immediately dissipated. At this moment, it was however easy to determine who was more powerful. Lai Xin could attack and withdraw smoothly, and Lai Guang was obviously struggling with controlling his abilities. The sage smiled slightly. Not bad, you guys have already mastered and can control freely the 16-point Life Flame technique. You can now accept the initial steps of the next level of the Life Flame technique. Lai Xin's eyes brightened. Lai Guang on the other hand stuck out his tongue and raised his hand. Teacher, can you spare me? Where did you see me controlling the ability freely? When I was withdrawing the fire, I felt as though I was being roasted. I'm almost well cooked through. The sage's eyes smiled, but Lai Guang's heart froze. Shit, every time teacher used this sort of eyes to look at him, his situation would become very miserable. Teacher, I'm wrong. Luckily, this time, the sage was not really annoyed. He said lightly, your body type is actually more suitable for the Life Flame technique, except that your life force is too promiscuous and you have lost your virginity early. That is why you experience difficulty controlling the fire within you. Lai Guang smiled bitterly. If he had the foresight, he would not have lived such a lifestyle. Actually, an indulgent life was not what he really wanted. Except, he was a man and naturally he had no resistance towards women. Since he had already enjoyed himself, there was no need for regrets. His past should not be dug out again, he could only look forward. Teacher, is there any way to solve this? Achieve full mastery of the Life Flame technique. With just a single sentence, Lai Guang's face became bitter. Training relentlessly until now, he had only achieved minor mastery of the technique. To obtain full mastery, when would that be? Lai Xin smiled slightly. In front of the sage, she still could not act as openly as Lai Guang. The sage did his best with her, giving her all the resources he had, investing in her. He used some ancient methods to help her cleanse her essence and achieve enlightenment, and in those methods, he used some drugs which had long been extinct. Using some meant having a lesser Lai Xin, from tomorrow onwards, you and Lai Guang will train based on the fighting art here. But you have to take note, once there is any issue, let me know at the first instant. Lai Xin received an ancient scroll from the hands of the sage. She opened it carefully. A whole new Lai flame technique was recorded inside. Lai Guang looked at the cultivation technique's mnemonic chant on it. He rubbed his head. It was very obvious, this was the second half of the Lai flame technique. It was more advanced, its power stronger. Once they have mastered this, it was most likely they would more than double in strength. He was a little confused. Teacher, the Lai flame technique is obviously complete. Why must we separate it into two halves? Isn't that just self-destroying? Such a good thing, why did he have to hide it till now before taking it out? The sage sighed. It is time to let you guys know the true history of the sage sect. Lai Guang still wanted to pester with more questions but was pulled back by Lai Xin, hence he just sat down honestly on the floor. Hundreds of years ago, the sage sect was already the state religion of Mars. No matter which powers, if they wanted to enter Mars, they all had to get the permission of the sage sect. That was a time of the war gods. The sage said with reverence, he was recalling that miracle-like golden age. War gods? What are those? Lai Guang blinked. Don't interrupt. Lai Xin smacked Lai Guang on the head. The sage laughed. You guys had already achieved small mastery of the Lai flame technique. You should be able to feel how a cultivation technique can raise a person's battle abilities to much newer heights. Lai Xin nodded. Indeed, based on her strength now, with just a knife, she could easily defeat head-on a soldier from the enhanced troops. In the age of the war gods, one person only needed a custom armor and they could rule the world. They could compete alone with an entire fleet. That is a war god, and war gods relied on special powerful cultivation techniques. The Lai family and sage sect have the common heritage of the Lai flame technique. It is one of the cultivation techniques to create a war god. Then why are there no war gods now? Lai Guang scratched his head. Actually, this type of stories had always been around in the internet, except that everyone just read it as a form of entertainment. No one would really believe it, but hearing this from the sage, the meaning was naturally different. Human strength is after all limited. The legendary strength of the war gods derives actually from the communication between man and the universe. They use the universe's energy to the maximum efficiency. You can say that this is a type of harmonious borrowing. But as civilization developed, human technology broke the balance of the universe and the whole universe's energy started to reject humans. Man can no longer feel the originally omnipresent vitality, and war gods lost their strength, becoming normal people. The reason why we divided the Lai flame technique is not to self-destroy, but at the current environment, there is no way that the complete Lai flame technique can be mastered. If forcefully trained, you will only lose yourself and become demented. The sage softly relayed the secret story of the fall of mankind, of the ages before. Hearing it now, it was indeed like a myth, but it was not fictional. In the sage sect's secret records, there were not only written records but also videoed materials. In the recordings of the sage sect's secret records, the human civilization hundreds of years ago were at the early stage of the Great Maritime Era, but some technology had already surpassed what we have now. They have reached the peak. At that era, personal space crystals were widely used. One space crystal could contain one mech. All the equipment of one troop could be brought along with just more than 10 space crystals. But the existence of so much personal space caused the destabilization of the universe. Space and space separated. In the end, this caused human civilization to regress. Some areas should not be touched by humans. The sage's voice became tinged with sadness. Lai Xin's eyes moved. Teacher, by giving us the next half of the cultivation technique now, are you saying that you can feel the vitality again? Perhaps. The damage caused by humans to the universe had already been repaired? The sage looked gladly at Lai Xin. Whether it is repaired or not, no one will know. But, vitality has indeed started to appear. Even though it is not very obvious yet, but it is enough for you guys to start training with the higher level of the Lai flame technique. And, it is now your period of advantage. No matter Lear or Achilles, the cultivation techniques that they inherited are all incomplete versions. If they cannot find the next half of the complete cultivation technique, in the future, they will not form much worry. Oh right, The world of saints that I have given you guys a few days ago, how was it? Odin laughed. Both Lai Xin and Lai Guang were stunned. World of saints? Ah, 5 days ago. The sage suddenly passed to the two of them a game program. He said that they could take a look when they had the time. Lai Xin lowered her head. Teacher, I've yet to open it. Lai Guang on the other hand was muttering under his breath. I thought that it was teacher's test to see how determined we are to learn this fighting art. What if I open it and get punished instead? Pa! Lai Guang's head was smacked again by the sage. As if recalling something, Lai Xin raised her head again. Teacher, you just said that if Lear and the others cannot find the next half of their fighting art, this means. In the era of war gods, the greatest existence of human civilization was a group called the Saint Church. Except, there was a huge change during that year and the Saint Church was attacked by everyone. And because Sage Sect was protected by Martians, we could protect and preserve the complete Life Flame technique. Lear's Ares art, Achilles' Heavenly King arts were all snatched over from the Saint Church. They are all halved versions. But now, with the recovery of vitality, Saint Church is reviving too. The world of saints is just a small part of the Saint Church. Inside, there are the cultivation techniques passed by Saint Church that year. If all goes well, no matter whether it is the Ares art or Heavenly King arts, there are both full versions for inheritance that can be found inside. Lai Guang was stunned. There actually is such an organization. Wouldn't they be able to rule with such power? Lai Xin laughed and knocked Lai Guang's head. Are you stupid? The era has already changed. Even if the cultivation technique now had become stronger, it would never reach the level of that era. At most it would give us some advantage. To put it simply, it is a good way to train our bodies. Lai Guang covered his head. You guys stop hitting my head, I'm becoming stupid. Odin smiled. Lai Xin only guessed half of what happened. There was a saying in that year that all arts come from the Saint Church. They are a neutral existence. It serves the entire human race, hence facing the situation of destabilization that year, they did not resist and simply disappeared. Now there lies a chance, under the circumstance where the Saint Master is missing, whoever becomes the Saint Master can control this power. Adding in the resources you guys have now, it is possible that the Lai family's wish may be realized. Lai Xin and Lai Guang exchanged looks. Obviously they had understood. If this was the case, they would really have to compete for the position of the Saint Master. Teacher, if this is the case, do we still need to go to Elite Academy X? Lai Xin was very tempted upon hearing. She wanted to focus just on domineering this world. You can't succeed by rushing. This is only an opportunity and not everything. Besides, whether or not you can become the Saint Master is not just dependent on working hard. You still need some luck. A young man appeared in Odin's head. He had some suspicions in his heart. Perhaps there were areas that were contradictory. At the start, he had thought that Wang Zheng was the successor of the Saint Church. In many ways, he was so alike, but understanding his recent situation, he denied this thought. Things were a little mysterious. But as a Martian, the leader of Sage Sect, he still hoped that Lai Xin and Lai Guang would have great accomplishments. All along, the Sage Sect also recognized that the solar system was the heart of human lives. At the beginning it was Earth, no doubt. Then it was followed by the Moon. It was a pity that the life aura of Moon was too thin and could not support this world. Now the luck should turn to Mars. This time, the recovery of vitality would signal the rise of Mars. Wang Zheng was engrossed in the training of Atomic Burst. He had only 2 missions left in the disciple level, to train his blade technique to the highest level and then to complete the training for Atomic Burst as best he could. To be frank, Wang Zheng was very confident in himself. With his foundation being the primordial regression technique, together with Bonehead's special training, he had basically yet to meet a technique that stumped him. Of course that was until he met this Atomic Burst training. Wang Zheng could sense that there was an opportunity within and it could very possibly raise his strength. Except that this training itself was the most boring one he had ever encountered, far beyond anything he had met so far. The final goal of the Atomic Burst was to blast anything to ashes with a finger. Although he could punch the huge boulder into pieces or to punch through the huge boulder, creating a force like this with a single finger was on an entirely different level. After exiting the Rubik's Cube, this was the first time Wang Zheng was met with such a difficult problem. Surprisingly, this difficult problem was actually on the disciple level. The other person obsessed with the world of saints was Zhang Shan. Such an amazing place had actually existed beyond his awareness. Zhang Shan was more direct. He did not care whether it was a black or white cat, as long as the cat caught the mouse, it was a good cat. Similarly, he did not care about the purpose of this world of saints, as long as he could strengthen himself. Wang Zheng's suggestion to him was not to break through the disciple level too quickly. Even though the acolyte level had better trials and training modes, and the fighting arts were a level higher, but the basic training of the disciple level were more complete. This was just right for Zhang Shan, who switched majors halfway through. At the same time, this was a good opportunity for him to reborn. Each trial was a breakthrough. Zhang Shan felt that he had become reborn, especially in spiritual terms. This time, the trial that he was undertaking was the jungle trial. Entering within, it was a tropical jungle. The enemies were all sorts of poisonous insects and fierce beasts. This was not difficult, except it tested a person's ability to respond to sudden situations. Zhang Shan passed very smoothly. His spatial movement ability X was like a shocking and unbelievable bug in such a trial. To Zhang Shan, this actually was training his instantaneous reaction to activate his spatial movements. He learned a lot. Within 0.5 seconds, he could activate his spatial movement, except using this kind of instantaneous activation, he could move only 2 meters away at best. As he made his way across the tropical jungle, Zhang Shan was almost unscathed. He passed perfectly. Of course, it was not entirely because he cheated using his spatial ability. As a man, he would never avoid those necessary training, except in meeting dangers that he had no other ways of avoiding than he would use his ability. For instance, in the stage with the man-eating ants, if he did not use his spatial movement, it was basically unsolvable. Using fire arts to attack was useless because these man-eating ants were the lava-mutated types and were totally not afraid of being burned by fire. After completing the trial successfully, Zhang Shan did not leave. Instead, he chose to repeat the trial. He did not believe that there were no other ways to fight off these man-eating ants. He was a genius. Again and again, until the last try, Zhang Shan finally found a way. Before the man-eating ants noticed him, he would lure a black bear into the man-eating ants' territory and use the black bear as a distraction. After the black bear had attracted the attention of the man-eating ants, he would quickly pass this stage. "I'm a genius," Zhang Shan screamed into the sky. Suddenly he remembered that Wang Zheng had passed this trial early on. He was very curious as to what technique did Wang Zheng use to pass. Wang Zheng received another message from Zhang Shan. Recently, he had been harassed quite often by Zhang Shan. He was very patient. The jungle trial? Oh, yes, I remember. That type of man-eating ants hates the smell of green gas grass. There's this stage in front where there are many green gas grass. It is a stage with absolutely no difficulty. We learned this in high school biology. Wang Zheng's matter-of-fact attitude made the genius Zhang Shan hang up the call immediately. Damn, why did he not think of that? Did he learn it during high school biology? Biology was not a compulsory subject, hence every time during biology lessons, he was always doing other stuff. Now that he thought of it, he really should not have done that. Switching off his messages and opening his inventory space, Zhang Shan suddenly realized that he had yet another crystal shard on him. When did he get that? Zhang Shan was suddenly very interested and started calling all his friends to ask around. Zhang Shan was quite adept at making friends. In just a few days in the world of saints, he already made a bunch of fox friends and dog friends. TL note. This refers to unsavory friends. It had to be said that two who were good friends with Zhang Shan were not actually scoundrels but had an ID called Fox Friend, and the other was Wolf Friend. But under normal circumstances, everyone would call him Dog Friend affectionately due to their affiliation. It was useless to protest. After fighting a few times, he resigned himself to fate. Who asked him not to treat this seriously when he first entered the world of saints, choosing such a controversial name? You got it, damn. Did you try something new for your trial? As long as it was something new, you will be able to get the shards rewards which can be used to exchange for hidden rewards. Fox Friend was an old disciple. He was rich and spent quite a lot in the world of saints. Zhang Shan rubbed his chin. Something new? Other than him, There were no others who tried the technique of using a black bear to distract the man-eating ants. Zhang Shan laughed heartily and relayed the matter. Instantly Fox Friend and Dog Friend were all stunned. But, the average person really could not lure the black bear. Did he think that the black bear was less fierce than the man-eating ants? Zhang Shan was very proud. I'm really a genius. What can I exchange with this? A genius? My foot. Does your mouth itch if you do go without praising yourself every day? Dog Friend was very unhappy. In his circle of friends, he was originally the strongest. Now with Zhang Shan's arrival, who was all sorts of extraordinary, had relegated him from that position. Under usual circumstances, you can exchange for quite a lot of time in the world. I heard that you can also change for special fighting arts. But those are 1 in 100,000. Besides, even if someone changed for a special fighting art, they would never tell anyone. Forget it. You think that special fighting arts are cabbages in the market? Dog Friend snorted. Only true geniuses will have the opportunity to get special fighting arts. This world of saints is very mysterious. People's talents can be measured in here. Without reaching a certain level, you will never meet this kind of good things. For instance, the saint trial. While that is true, but in the world of saints, there are always some miracles. Sooner or later, I will also trigger the saint trial. Fox Friend did not agree. The most attractive part of the world of saints was that it could change people. After the first time entering and being baptized into the world of saints, their senses in reality had been enhanced. While the improvement was very small, but indeed, in terms of one's spiritual aspect, their individual's abilities were strengthened. After listening for half the day, Zhang Shan let out a hearty laugh and pointed to his own nose. I'm the genius. If only geniuses can exchange for special fighting arts, this person will no doubt be me. Come on. Go to one side and play with sand. Fox Friend and Dog Friend burst out into laughter. Obviously they did not believe him. Zhang Shan was not annoyed too. He chatted with them for a while and then embarked again on his journey through the trials. One trial after the other, it was actually quite difficult. Because of the shards he received, Zhang Shan started to be serious. He totally ignored the hints on the information card for the trials and even went in the opposite direction. Under most circumstances, even though he did all sorts of exaggerated things, but he did not get any crystal shards reward. It looked like this world of saints was still quite strict, but Zhang Shan was very confident. In front of a genius, there was nothing impossible. Zhang Shan possessed fierce perseverance. He did not give up, not even if he met his death. Wang Jun had to admit that Zhang Shan's talent in persevering was way bigger than any of his other talents. When he collected 10 shards, he finally triggered the conditions and the exchange options appeared. There was actually no fighting art. Every option was on exchanging time. One shard could exchange for 50 hours. Actually, this was already quite good. But Zhang Shan was literally bursting with anger. Where was the fighting art that was promised? My small son, after toiling for half a day, can you give me something good? What about a fighting art? Beep. Detected that the target meets the special conditions for dark space art. You can choose to exchange for the qualification to undergo the special trial. Please answer. Do you want the fighting art trial to start? A mechanical voice suddenly sounded. The choices in front of Zhang Shan all disappeared and a mysterious pitch-black choice appeared. On the left was accept, and on the right was reject. I know I'm a genius. I accept. Zhang Shan stretched out his hand and hit the left choice with force. Instantly the surroundings became pitch black. Hong Long Long. The grand temple shone bright and colorful. It rose from the darkness from out of nowhere. There was only one person. Zhang Shan was alone in the whole void. This was a world that belonged only to him. At this moment, endless flying insects flew from afar. The cystic glands in their abdomens shone with blue-green radiation. This was a biological organ that could secrete corrosive poisonous acids. Hong Long Long, a screen appeared in front of Zhang Shan. Main goal. Protect the temple. Supplementary goal, to survive. Death punishment. Banned from entering the world of saints for 30 days. Zhang Shan's jaw dropped open. What the FK, this was impossible. There was not even one mech, and there was actually such a disastrous punishment, banned from entering the world of saints for 30 days. Shit. Did it have to be so vicious? Zhang Shan quickly rushed into the temple that he was supposed to protect. He wanted to see if there would just right be any super strong mech or super strong surreal weapons. None, it was empty. Wait, that armor. Zhang Shan suddenly realized that there was a set of shining armor that was placed on the altar of the temple. There were power flowing on it. It was the power of space that Zhang Shan was very familiar with, and it seemed as though he had seen it before. Looking around, it did not seem like there was anything else. This was definitely prepared for a genius like himself. Without saying another word, he wore it boldly. Hong! The sounds of the flapping wings of the flying insects came from outside. Instantly, Zhang Shan felt a power that flowed through his fingers and palms. This power did not belong to him, no, he should say that it did not belong to this world. It was a power that would not be tolerated by the universe. It was a type of despise, a look that came from high above. The gaze of God. Shine, instantly he performed a space movement, moving up 1,000 meters and using only 0.01 seconds. It was equivalent to moving 1,000 meters without spending time. Countless insects flew towards him and he was actually in the universe. Endless insects, many of which he had not even heard of. Zhang Shan was stunned. He only tried wearing the armor for a while. If it was not allowed, just let him know. Did they have to do this? There was no doubt, he ran. There was absolutely no way to fight. He would be an idiot not to run. What was different was that this armor that he was wearing seemed to give him a strange power. He could use instantaneous movement continuously and he could even use it to cross space, like a god. This was definitely not something a human could possess. Even though he was facing countless of insects, Zhang Shan was actually even more relaxed. FK that shit trial, this was just a virtual game. It was nothing more. With the IQ of Mr. Zhang Shan, this game was like a drizzle. Space warfare was Zhang Shan's specialty, especially when this armor could provide such high maneuvering performance. Slowly, killing and evading became less important. Again and again he did the space movement. Even performing space separation. Zhang Shan sank into a state of understanding. He knew very clearly that this was a power that could not possibly exist, but it seemed so real. Time seemed to have lost importance. There was no end to killing the insects and Zhang Shan started to get injured, but he did not care for that. Long. The temple disappeared, but the armor did not. It simply lost its swirling glow and became a set of useless steel. The trial closed. What was happening recently, the Saint trial was actually triggered, and other than someone successfully passing it, there was actually a closure of another trial. This meant that this trial would never be opened again. It was as though it was waiting specifically for that one person. Zhang Shan had not gotten his fill of excitement yet. This is no fun. I just got interested and it ended. What is this? Zhang Shan opened his inventory and a beautiful card floated midair. Dark space art. What was this thing? Was there not only the 8-point blade technique here? This time, Zhang Shan did not harass Wang Zheng. He knew that Wang Zheng was focused on his training. Anyway, he also knew a group of fox friends, dog friends. Zhang Shan and Wang Zheng were different. Wang Zheng only had 2 or 3 good friends, while Zhang Shan, other than having a handful of closer friends, had a whole group of others. He really treated the world of saints as an opportunity to form a community of friends. He put the dark space art on the sharing platforms for friends. This was a sharing and goods exchange platform. After a while, there was still no response. Zhang Shan was speechless. He knew it. There would not be anything good coming from something so easily accomplished. Hey bro, I will buy it for 1 million. Bro, are you selling this? How about a price? If you want to exchange fighting arts, I'm also okay with that. Just request. Instantly, Zhang Shan's message storage was flooded with a bunch of requests to purchase. Did people treat Brother Shan as an idiot? This reward actually turned out to be such a good thing. Then he would keep it for himself to use. You did not need to say, Zhang Shan indeed caused an uproar. He not only caused the trial to close but also got the special fighting art of the disciple level. While to be honest, the disciple level was the lowest level. It was the most basic and the most boring. However, the seasoned Saint players all understood that this world had its own strange rules. If anything special happened in the lowest level, it was definitely more important than that of the Saints level. In other words, Zhang Shan was a chosen one of the world of saints. Meanwhile, some organizations in the world of saints had already begun to watch Black Charcoal closely. This person was not only unusual but also a little too full of himself. But it was obvious he wanted to enter the Acolyte level. On the Acolyte level, there was an entirely different set of game rules. If he wanted to play hero, they would have to educate him well. But the problem was Black Charcoal, who presented quite the talent, had suddenly become quiet. Those with just a bit of talent would complete the 8-point blade technique training very easily. Professionals had already tested this. If this fighting style was trained in reality, even with talent, the person would need a certain period of time. But the world of saints was after all a world for spiritual bodies, hence training was very fast. But Black Charcoal had yet to level up even after such a long time. His whereabouts were not difficult to track. This guy was poking stones the whole day. He was in the Atomic Burst trial, the trial that was commonly known as one of the lousiest trials in the world of saints. In fact, he was actually happily training in it. Rumors said that this trial was no different than performing a self-castration in hopes of being trained in some godly fighting style. As time passed, everyone started to lose interest. On the other hand, Wang Zheng was still happy every day. Every day he trained and trained. Then he socialized with Chen Shu and the others. This hard-to-come-by quiet school life slowly buried his emotional distress. When Wang Zheng received Meng Tian's Skylink call, he was eating the instant bento bought from the campus convenience store. "Leader, don't eat that trash. Let me treat you to a meal." Meng Tian's eyes were very sharp. She saw the bento on the table and was at loss for words. Everyone at the fleet enjoyed the treatment of officers, yet he was here in this condition, even though he was obviously the best amongst them. Wang Zheng's eyes lit up. "A beauty treating me, the more the better. Well, I have some things to do, so I'm coming back for a while." Meng Tian's face showed a rare smile. "Invite everyone to gather together, it's been a long time." Actually, everyone was not many people. There was Yao Ailun, Chen Shu, Yi Zisu and Tyrant Su. These 6 did not go to the street behind the college. The last time they ate with Old Deer here made Wang Zheng famous. Every time they came, they were surrounded by fans. While pigs were afraid of being fat, some people were afraid of fame. It was a simple thing to have a gathering among a few friends. If there were too many prying eyes, then it would be meaningless. "Wang Zheng, did you miss me?" Meng Tian's question made Yi Zisu blink a few times. She had to say, after experiencing the fleet training, she was not clear about Meng Tian's strength, but she had an additional heroic aura. Together with her slender figure, she did have the looks of a military female idol. It was very attractive. Luckily, Meng Tian added another sentence. "I quite missed everyone. If you don't leave school, you will never know how complicated it is outside." Everyone was quite shocked. This Meng Tian, when she spoke, she really only said shocking things. Having not seen her for a while, her courage grew. Yi Zisu laughed and looked at Wang Zheng. She said, "Well, it is easy to say that it's complicated. It depends on whether we want to go with the flow or to go against the current." Wang Zheng laughed. To be honest, he did miss Meng Tian a little. Of course, he also missed Zhang Runan and Zhang Shan. Everyone experienced the IG together. This set of camaraderie could stand tests, but life was like this. No one could stay together forever and would one day go their separate ways. Recently, he was indeed more emotional. "It's a rare gathering today, let's not talk about these. Just one sentence, we are not returning until we are drunk." Yan Xiaoshu set the tone for the gathering today. Yi Zisu, however, shrugged her shoulders. "I'm out. I still need to fly to the Americas later for an important meeting." Meng Tian smiled and looked at Yi Zisu. "Zisu, accompany me to the powder room?" These two were roommates from the same dormitory. Even though their relationship was tinged with competitiveness, and that they were also equally beautiful ladies, Yan Xiaoshu was worried. He was afraid that these two would fight. Boss's charm was a little too much. Putting Yi Zisu aside, Meng Tian was interested in Boss from the start, and they also fought in IG together. If someone said that they had no relationship, even a ghost would not believe them. Too bad, at that time Boss's girlfriend was the Aslan princess. The other competitors could really only watch, but it was different now. Yan Xiaoshu naturally supported his own people. But the problem was Meng Tian's status was not ordinary too. Meng Ao had quite the influence in the army, and Wang Zheng wanted to enlist. With Meng Ao's support, he would definitely achieve things with half the effort. Meng Tian was also so pretty, not seeing her for a few days, she was even more elegant now. This army uniform was as though it was custom made for her, she was so beautiful. Looking at Chen Shu and the other's expression, he knew why Meng Tian wanted to wear her uniform for the gathering today. This really was not something any other girl could compare to. They did not know what these two beauties talked about. It was possible it involved Wang Zheng. Anyway, as they talked, they looked at Wang Zheng at the same time and then walked over giggling. It looked like the relationship between the two beauties had loosened up. At least that was what it looked like on the surface. What secrets are you guys whispering about that we can't know? It's none of your business. Yi Zisu's eyes rolled. This was obviously a failed attempt to hide secrets. Meng Tian smiled slightly. Girls talk, why are you asking about that? Seeing the situation, Yan Xiaoshu quickly stood up and pulled Wang Zheng to a side. Boss, let's talk here. Then using his lowest volume, he told Wang Zheng. In a while, let's raise our heads and look at them, then we laugh together. Wang Zheng grinned and agreed. Then together, he and Yan Xiaoshu looked towards Meng Tian and Yi Zisu and started sniggering. Yi Zisu and Meng Tian took one look at each other. This was such a clumsy method. But it was really effective. The two of you are talking bad about us again. Absolutely not. Yao Ailun and Chen Shu exchanged a look. Both of them could not stand it anymore. Waiter, order. They were really here to eat. After drinking and eating, Yao Ailun and Chen Shu left. Chen Shu was going to the labs to be an assistant and Yao Ailun was going to a competition to be the commentator. They were both busy people. Of course, these were simply excuses. Because of Chen Shu, Ailun also managed to get a girlfriend. Looking at his proud face, most likely the relationship had progressed well. In the previous 2 days, they were teased. It looked like Chen Shu had also took the step forward in his relationship. The few brothers, other than Zhang Shan whose situation was unclear, looking at the current situation, the others had already lost their virginity and stepped into the manhood. These youngsters really were something. Yi Zisu also only sat a while before leaving. As she left she also whisked Yan Xiaoshu away. She actually left some privacy for the two of them so heartily. Wang Zheng was very puzzled too. Meng Tian looked at Wang Zheng. There were only the two of them left. It's been long since we trained together. I know a mecha club. How about it, are you scared? It looked like the fleet did train people. The Meng Tian now was a little different than the past. She was actually taking the initiative to attack. What do you think? I said it, I'll never turn down a beauty's invitation. Wang Zheng laughed and nodded, accepting the invitation. They came to the mecha club. The renovation weren't very luxurious. All the mecha were of the basic type. Moreover, it had specifically imported 2 War God No. 1. It was obvious that the shop PWNER was a fan of skeleton. This type of club might also be a franchise. I will be using the Bada Type 5. What about you? I will just use the Demon Wolf. What's the matter? Weren't you going to use the War God No. 1? Meng Tian was teasing him. Hee. All right, I will listen to you. War God No. 1. Wang Zheng was willing to accept the good advice. It felt a little like he had returned to the initial stages of IG. When they entered the training ground, Wang Zheng piloted the War God No. 1 and made a hand sign to Meng Tian to signal her to come against him with all she got. There wasn't any hesitation in the Bada Type 5. The very first move was an ultimate move. Ability X, Freezing Ice. Boom. Wang Zheng was shocked. He moved quickly as he changed his position irregularly and managed to dodge Meng Tian's first wave of icy explosions. She was serious. Be careful not to lose, Captain. As Meng Tian finished her words, Bada Type 5 charged ahead once again. One could feel the chilly atmosphere as the ice attribute ability X became more intense. Wang Zheng smiled and his War God No. 1 continued to dodge. He didn't seem to have the intention to attack and was constantly changing his position unpredictably to bait Meng Tian to attack. I'm not fighting anymore. After exchanging blows for a while, Meng Tian finally stopped and sighed. The distance between Wang Zheng and her had increased. The two of them came down from the mecha and walked to the individual restroom at one side. The mecha were naturally handled by the employees. Meng Tian asked for service again and ordered some alcohol and food. Wang Jung looked at her and knew that Meng Tian definitely had something to talk about. Initially, I was still hesitating. However, I had finally made up my mind now. I would be going to the Milky Way Galaxy Military College for further studies. Meng Tian gulped down a huge mouthful of alcohol. This wasn't beer but 40-degree whiskey. Wang Jung was stunned. The Milky Way Galaxy Military College was similar to the Elite Academy X and was the top colleges in the Milky Way Alliance. However, the difference was that the Milky Way Galaxy Military College mainly targeted talents in the space fleets and specifically nurtured the captain of these ships. Zhang Shan also had the same opportunity. Obviously, if he could enter the Elite Academy X, I believe he would be more willing to follow you. The world of saints is a great place. Laughed Meng Tian as she played with her hair. It might be because of the effects of the alcohol and surprisingly, Meng Tian looked flirtatious. I would also like you to go to the Elite Academy X with us. Meng Tian shook her head lightly and her eyes were even more determined. The truth was that I had been working hard during this period of time, including the time when I was in the world of saints. I made some improvements but in the end, I finally realized the distance between me and Zhang Shan and you. She had some progress in the world of saints and also felt that she was rather gifted. She had originally thought that she could make up for the difference with hard work after IG. However, it was clear that her direction was wrong. Zhang Shan's huge and sudden improvements after entering the world of saints were shocking. The key was in attitude. When she was in the military she was just like a fish in water and everything was smooth. However, in this aspect, she felt that she had many obstacles to overcome. Seeing that Wang Jung was feeling a little reluctant to part, Meng Tian smiled. Captain, the truth was I had hoped to be under your leadership. It was just that I hope I wouldn't become a burden. Wang Jung nodded. He noticed Meng Tian had made the right judgment. All roads lead to Rome. Your choice is better. You might already become our officer when we met again in this place. From the standpoint of promotions, being with the space fleets would be faster. However, there were both pros and cons. Although promotion was faster in the space fleets, the room for promotion wasn't as broad as in the army. Let not talk about this. Drink with me. The reason I was back this time is to settle related matters. After today, it might be hard for us to meet again. The Milky Way Galaxy Military College floats within the universe and has a isolationist concept, laughed Meng Tian. She felt relieved after letting go of the things that were bothering her. Let's get food and get drunk, laughed Wang Jung. The truth was that he was rather fond of drinking with everyone. It was especially so for Meng Tian, who he had met again after a long time. It was a pity Runan and Mountain Maiden aren't around. I'm really missing them. We separate to reunite once again. We are all still young and have to work hard for our dreams. Then can we turn failures to successes? What is more important is the process. It was only through these experiences that we wouldn't be wasting our lives. Wang Jung held up the wine cup and finished it in one go. Recently, he seemed to be enlightened and had the demeanor of a philosopher. You were right. Let's look ahead and never turn back. Come, let's have another toast. Meng Tian took a look at Wang Jung. She seemed to be smiling but wasn't really smiling. Meng Tian should have known about the incident between Wang Jung and Aina. She had originally wanted to ask about it. However, after looking at Wang Jung now, she felt that there was no longer such a need to do so. Let's fight another match. We might get into an accident if we use the mecha when we are dizzy. Are you stupid? I meant a fight. I am still a soldier on duty and would definitely not breach the rules, laughed Meng Tian. The standalone restroom was in fact a dueling room. In the middle of it, there was a boxing ring. Wang Jung finished his cup of alcohol once again. All right, weren't these just like the times where we were in the MMA club? If you thought that I was the same at that time, you would be in for a shock. This time, none of them used their ability X and was using purely body fighting skills. Meng Tian was truly different. She had mixed military fighting and killing moves with ancient martial arts. Every strike was ferocious. The effects of the alcohol could be clearly felt. Wang Jung was no longer holding back. With a karate chop followed by a quick grapple, He threw Meng Tian over. Bang! Meng Tian, who was as beautiful as a flower, was thrown to the ground by Wang Zheng. Although the boxing ring was soft, this move was definitely ruthless. Ouch! However, although Meng Tian was shouting in pain, she revealed a satisfying smile. The last round didn't counted. Let's do it again. Also, do not go lightly against me. I wasn't intending to go easy on you. Alcohol was a magical thing. They kept on fighting till it was 2 a.m. in the morning. They had fought over 10 rounds and finished several bottles of whiskey. In the end, the drunk Meng Tian and Wang Zheng decided to rent a room in the hotel. It was a purely renting a room in the hotel. It was 2 a.m. in the morning and a single man and women were alone in the room. It wasn't appropriate for them to return to the college. Wang Zheng would be fine but Meng Tian wouldn't. Therefore, to be more accurate, it was Wang Zheng accompanying Meng Tian to rent a room in the hotel. Meng Tian had drunk quite a bit and seemed to had drank more than Wang Zheng. Although Wang Zheng was also feeling that everything around him was spinning, he managed to hang in there till he finished the administrative procedures. He was also able to help Meng Tian to the room that had rented. When they entered the room, the wallpaper was a romantic pink. It truly reminded someone of more suggestive locations. Wang Zheng put Meng Tian on the bed and was preparing to leave. However, he was suddenly pulled and fell directly on Meng Tian. Suddenly, their bodies were sticking together, face to face. In an instant, their breathing started to become more rapid. They had drunk some alcohol and had been exercising for a while. It was the perfect scenario where something would happen. Under the dim lighting, Meng Tian, who was already an absolute beauty, seemed extremely delicate and charming. Who would have thought that the cold flower of the space fleet would look so alluring right now? Wang Zheng could felt that his heart was accelerating and seemed to be exploding. Meng Tian definitely was able to attract him. He had almost lost control when they were practicing previously. Meng Tian wasn't better. She had made up her mind before coming. At this moment, she bit her lips and said, do you dare? After finishing her line, she looked down shyly. Under the snow-white skin was a deep cleavage. Wang Zheng subconsciously felt his head buzzing. At this moment, if he could still say no, he would truly be a god and would definitely more than a hungry beast. Wang Zheng used practical actions to answer Meng Tian. That snow-white skin had a little red and was giving out an alluring scent of a virgin. Once an attributed woman bloomed, the charisma that was given out would be beyond imagination. Not long after, Meng Tian was just like a little lamb which had been striped. Wang Zheng was also surprised. She was like a work of art. At this moment, Meng Tian, who was known to be calm, had completely lost her courage and was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Her helpless and weak eyes further stimulated Wang Zheng. This was his girl, his women. At the moment Wang Zheng entered, Meng Tian let out a shriek in pain. Her white arms held Wang Zheng tightly and she was enduring the pain of it tearing.